Hello there, thanks for joining us, and I'm glad you could come and sit down with us and read the Word and talk about the great things of God. And today I'm going to be reading from the John MacArthur Study Bible. This is a New King James Version, and I'm doing this because only just the other day he passed into the presence of God. He was one of the last great theologians of our day, and he wrote many commentaries on the Bible, and he was a great preacher, preaching according to the word without compromise. So we pay tribute to him. Today we're going to look at a verse, and in the next few sessions we're going to look at a verse from John's first epistle to the general church. And the epistles of John and his gospel were written around 90 AD. He was the closest of all the apostles to Jesus, along with Peter and James, his brother. And this letter is a very encouraging letter, but it's also warning believers about false teachers, about false spirits, and about false gospels and apostles and other things. So we're going to look at this first verse in 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. So first thing that John does is speak to his audience in the love. He's encouraging them as his brothers and sisters within the church. We know that he wrote from Ephesus for many of his letters, and he wrote the Revelation from the Isle of Patmos where he was exiled. So this is encouraging the church in his old age to people who are a lot younger than he was, and he always calls them his little children, his beloved. He's asking them to trust what he is saying, because he speaks as an authority in the church as an apostle. Next, he's encouraging the church not to believe everything they see and read or hear, because at this time the first of the Gnostics were coming, and they believed that anything material was evil. To them everything was spiritual, but it was a false spirituality. We know that there's a lot of Gnostic gospels like Thomas, Barnabas, Peter and others that circulated from this time up to the mid-2nd century, and they were all false gospels attributed to real apostles but not actually written by them, and too late to be canon. They're false, they're frauds, and even today people are still refer to them, but they are not to be trusted. They are not scripture, they are not canon because of that. They are too late and obviously inconsistent with the Gospels and with the letters of Paul and John and Peter. It's the same today. We apply that today. We don't believe everything we read in the papers. We don't believe everything that's in the news, because the news channels have an agenda. They want to sell something. They want to manipulate people. But the agenda of John here is to encourage us in faith, but also to be discerning, be thoughtful, and listen carefully to what is said. Read in between the lines. What does that mean? What does that say? What is that person saying? These are very important things we should consider. Now we live in an age of social media, so we should be even more careful, because again, certain people have an agenda. They want to sell something, or they want to uphold a propaganda. They have ulterior motives. Now, if you believe everything you hear and you believe everything that you read, you can become gullible to anything, and you're open to fear and abuse. And this is what John is warning us about. By this time, most of the epistles and the Gospels had already been written down, and they were familiar to most of the church. They had a security in what was written, and they knew John well. They knew Peter and Paul and the other apostles well enough to know that what they were saying was true and trustworthy, because they'd laid their lives down for the gospel. We as people should be trustworthy, and we should be truthful. Even if we represent somebody else's position, we should be truthful on that position if we are going to criticize it. Because if you say something that is false about something and then criticize that is called straw manning. It's a false representation. So if someone criticizes my belief as a Christian but says that I believe this or that which isn't biblical, they are straw manning. God expects us to be discerning. He expects us to not believe everything, to think about what is being said and what we read. Does that ring true? Does it ring true with our experience as Christians? Does it ring true with our experience in life? We must be true to ourselves. We must be true to God and His Word, and representing it correctly, accurately, and to know it well enough so that we are able to test things. And we're going to be talking about testing the spirits in the next session we come to. So until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.